Good afternoon. My name is John Tierpak, Executive Director of the Unemployment Law Project, and welcome to our Monday webinar. ULP Unemployment Law Project provides free advice and representation for people in Washington State who are fighting for their unemployment benefits. We have offices in both Spokane and in Seattle. And so today we'll get an update from our policy director, Ann Paxton, followed by your questions about what is currently, what issues you are concerned with. So I'd like to introduce Ann Paxton. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good morning. Thank you for tuning into our webinar. This is a big month. Of course, we're looking ahead to the reopening of the state at many stages as of June 30th. And so the big question for unemployment benefits is what is the employment picture in the state? Do we have, and it's a competition between two points of view. One is we have a labor shortage. There is a shortage of workers, and the other is that there is a job shortage. So these kind of conflicting narratives have been in the news lately. You may have seen in the Seattle Times over the weekend that there was the lead story of the newspaper was, where have all the waiters gone? And that is the idea that they're on the cusp of the reopening, an industry that has suffered greatly throughout the pandemic is ready to reopen, but not finding the kinds of workers that it needs. The restaurant industry has been all but closed and half closed for the last 15 months. And so there's a sudden spike in job availability, and the match has just not been made between the workers who are out there and the jobs at which they're needed. So at the end of May, there were job postings in the leisure and hospitality sector, which food service belongs in that category, were up 39% from January 2020, before the pandemic. So that compares to about 20% for all the other all the sectors combined. So this restaurant industry has been hit rather hard. As of April, Washington was still down by 43,000 restaurant and bar workers. And that compares to the state deficit of labor of just 3.4% overall. So they need about 70,000 workers. And of course, this has generated a lot of theory, a lot of speculation about whether unemployment benefits are contributing to the shortage. But there's strong evidence that the economic conditions are the major contributing factor, not the fact that people are getting benefits. The average food service worker in Washington is getting $595 a week. That's with the $300 add-on. So that means that they're very close to the very bottom rung of unemployment benefits. As might be expected, these are among the lowest paying jobs throughout the country. So I think it's something to keep in mind when you hear the speculation that unemployment is being is a cause, that the benefit program is a cause of workers not returning to work, because there is an extreme job deficit as well. Washington's unemployment rate is at 5.5% right now, but of course the recession is not over, and it's not expected that it will be over for several more months. Washington right now has 147,000 fewer jobs than it did 13 months ago. And in addition to losing jobs, there were many people added to the working age population that is between 18 and 64, about 46,000. So the total job deficit is 193,400 jobs. So people are having trouble finding jobs in their field. That still has not been fixed. So that is also contributing to any lingering remaining on unemployment benefits. They don't expect the job deficit to be completely erased until September of 2022. So that's several months away, and important to keep in mind. And one factor that's been underemphasized in this picture of what exactly is going on is the devaluing of caregiving, that many people cannot return to work because they have caregiving issues. The National Employment Law Project is working on a program to promote renewed attention to caregiving, and the fact that it actually should be considered part of the essential infrastructure of the country. Think about this for a second. The states in Washington, the state's Child Care Collaborative Task Force found that in 2019, licensed child care programs had capacity to care for just 17% of child care aged children statewide. Now, not all of those people would be looking for child care, but that's a very small percentage of child care availability. And they did a survey of 400 Washington families with children under 6. They found that 27% of parents reported quitting work, school, or training due to childcare issues. Another 29% declined a job or promotion because of childcare, and 27% reduced their commitment to part-time. 9% said they were fired or let go because of childcare disruptions. If you look at from the day unemployment benefits started and the day that women started being employed, the childcare has always been an issue, and it continues to be something that the state has not really addressed in an adequate way. Throughout the country, there are 6.3 million people who are not seeking paid jobs because of a concern for a child in a school or daycare center. And there are 2.1 million who are caring for an older person. So it's not just child care, it's family care in general. So that is a problem that has yet to be addressed in a comprehensive way. The National Employment Law Project is pushing for more secure scheduling. That is a real problem, because as hard as it is to find childcare, when you have to change your schedule constantly, that makes it twice as hard. And they're pushing to make childcare more affordable for working parents. Now, nationally, the Department of Labor just issued, the Office of the Inspector General of the Department of Labor just issued a report on how well states have done with their unemployment benefits program. And as we know, Washington's did struggle quite a bit, continues to struggle, and has fallen short, but it is not as bad, of course, as some states have been. Obviously, most states have taken more than 30 days to expand their unemployment benefits to the new pools as they've been approved by Congress. And the Department of Labor calls this an unreasonable length of time for UI claimants, obviously. And this report also recommended a nationwide study of the technological needs of state unemployment systems, and that the federal government contribute help to the states to help modernize those systems. And also that the Department of Labor must provide further assistance to states for claims, overpayments, and fraud reporting, and to develop standards for what guidance to provide to states in case this kind of recession, temporary unemployment on a very serious level, happens again. I want to mention also that there is a complete overhaul of the unemployment system on the table in Congress. It's not known how far this is going to advance, but Representative Ron Wyden from Oregon has been pushing a proposal to bring all 53 states and territory systems under a single technological umbrella that would put out in a modular fashion components of a comprehensive unemployment system that the states could draw upon. I don't know how well that would work, but it is at least a sign that there's concern at a national level for something that is less fragmented and less ineffective than the system we've had over the last 13 months that has shown to be fallen so short over the last year. At the ESD level, I want to mention that the Employment Security Department is strongly encouraging employers to take advantage of shared work. That is a program that does not cost employers any money. It is not charged against their experience rating or their taxes for unemployment. And what it allows them to do is cut back worker hours, but the workers are still able to get some benefits for those missing hours. And this is an underutilized program. A lot of employers aren't really tuned into it, but it continues to be federally funded, and it has potential to provide much better benefits to the state's companies and other organizations. So that's fully funded by the feds until at least through September. And in the meantime, job search remains suspended in Washington state. But of course, there is speculation that that will soon end because the public health emergency may be declared over. It's not clear that that will happen by June 30th, but that is always something to keep in mind at this point. The public health emergency is winding down. So with that, we can expect likely some change in the job search requirement, maybe a return to job search. But in the meantime, the waiting week does continue to remain suspended. I believe until September, because that is covered by the federal government. And Washington has a law now that requires when there is a program funded by the federal government, say the first week of unemployment, then the state can continue that program without problems because it's not being charged to employers. So that's the news for this week.
All right. Thank you, Ann. I would like to add something about a job search. So before the pandemic, the job search requirement was making 3 separate individual job search contacts each week and keeping a written record of that. And that claimants could be randomly called in for audits to check on their job search. So it's very important. A lot of people I've been speaking with through the pandemic have been actively searching for work, but they haven't been concerned about keeping a direct, like clear record of those contacts. So I would just urge people who are claiming now to sort of think about that. Most people I've talked to are actually searching for work during the pandemic. But that will become clear later in terms of the job search requirement. Now, in addition to keeping a record of 3 contacts a week, if you are a member of a full referral union, and that is a union that will get you jobs, that will send you out on jobs or assign you to a work site, that kind of union doesn't require 3 job contacts a week. That if you're an active member in good standing of that union, to be considered able and searching for work, you need to keep in good standing with that out of work list to go back to work. So for union members who are in full referral unions, it will impact that requirement. Many, of course, are actively seeking now. Most people are very eager to get back to full-time work. Let's see, the first question I have is a question that's come before. The person says, I heard in the news that the $300 a week for the COVID unemployment will be ending in September. Is that correct? And could you address that?
Yes, that is the plan right now, that it will be ending in September. And given the economic signs and the reopening gradually throughout the country following the pandemic, that's likely to continue until at least September. Of course, in some states, about half the states have already made the decision to cut back on federal benefit programs. In some cases, just the $300. In some states, they're cutting back on every federal program in a kind of possible overreaction to the complaints of some employers that they're not able to find enough workers. Of course, there's always an issue of match. There may be a lot of workers out there who are just not the right fit for the jobs that are being advertised.
Okay, and so put your questions in the Q&A. We have a question here from a person who's leaving, who's considering leaving a job due to health issues, and wants to know about being able to apply for unemployment. And the person says, the doctor recommends my health would not get better unless I left the job. So under the unemployment statute, there is good cause for quitting due to health reasons. The rule requires people to exhaust all remedies, and I want to emphasize all remedies prior to quitting. Number one, request a leave of absence. There's also paid family medical leave that is available. Also requesting accommodation if it is possible. In this case, sounds like your doctor says you would it would not get better unless you left the job. Documentation, written documentation from medical providers is, let's say, highly preferred. You know, that would help the claim, but there's another concern here with when a person separates from employment due to medical issues. One is that the question of being able and available for suitable other work. Unemployment's not a disability program. If the medical issues are long-term, Social Security disability may be a better option, but for a person who leaves a job for medical reasons, they should consider, well, that they have to be able and available for other kinds of work. So it would be good to clear with your doctor or to find out what type of work you would be available for. So when you answer those weekly claim questions, you are considered, you know, able and available for work that is suitable for you. It won't be the kind of work you did at your prior job, but would be the kind of work that you know, would be suitable. Now, what complicates this a little bit with health issues is we have the pandemic unemployment, the PUA. And Anne, could you address a scenario like of somebody who would have a health issue that would probably not qualify for regular unemployment, but would qualify for the PUA, the pandemic unemployment?
Right. So the rule is in order to receive the pandemic unemployment assistance, of course, you must have already been denied, unable to receive regular benefits. If that's in your situation, if that characterizes your situation, then PUA may be a possibility, but you have to have a COVID related reason for being unemployed or partially unemployed in order to qualify for PUA. So it has to be something like you have COVID, you have to take care of a family member who has COVID. In Washington State, we have a new law that allows you to quit a job voluntarily if you are at high risk of the disease of the condition that is the subject of the public health emergency when there is such an emergency. So that would be an issue. I don't know how applicable that would be with a mental health case, but something to think about. Possibly PUA if you don't qualify for regular benefits.
Okay. So we have a question. I believe it was a follow-up to my discussion of being able and available for work, and I had mentioned being in a full referral union, and the question was, would that apply to an available substitute list at public school districts? Answer is no, because my understanding is that the substitutes are not union members, and it's not an out of work list through the union. That's just a hiring procedure for the school, individual school districts. The full referral union is a union run job, let's say service or assignment where people are on a list, they're qualified. So that would not apply to substitutes. So any substitutes, teachers applying for unemployment would have to make 3 other suitable job contacts each week and document that. Let's see. Here's a question from a person saying they got a PUA overpayment notice and filed an appeal. There's a question of English as a second. There's an issue of English as a second language here. The first 3 questions for PUA eligibility apply to him, including the unable to work from home or anywhere caregiver question. because he was home with our kids, I thought we were supposed to answer no for able and available, also because it seemed like it would be an opposing statement otherwise. Can I fix this and how? And can you take that?
So this has been kind of a chronic issue because of mixed signals that have been sent out by the Employment Security Department. You're supposed to be able and available to work. And that's almost always the case. In fact, it's never not been the case until we've had this situation with these new federal programs. But when you answer the questionnaire, ESD has told us that you can say for PUA that you are able and available, because the meaning of the question is, are you able and available if it were not for COVID? We've heard other people say this has caused them a big problem, thrown them into adjudication process where their claim is subject to a lengthy delay in order to get approved. So this is one of the situations where I think you have to do the best you can to get on the phone and get it straightened out with the claims center at 1-800-318-6022. And this is a very frustrating process, but the people who have been able to get through often involves a long wait, repeated attempts. When you do get through, this is something you can often address over the phone. So that would be our recommendation.
Okay, very good. I had a question from a person who has a small overpayment that they want to repay right away. How can I arrange this? The best way, if you're not disputing it or appealing it, and some people make this choice just to pay it back and not deal with hearings or waiting, for that process. But on the ESD website, esd.wa.gov, at the bottom of the page, there's contact us. And if you click on contact us, it'll take you to a page and it will list categories, and click on for the unemployed worker. And that will give you contact information for the benefit payment control unit. So there's an email and a toll-free number and a fax number there. So you can contact them and be ready to give your either your client ID number or your social security number. And I'm sure they'll be happy to take your repayment there. Next question is, this is a tax issue. So do you know when people who filed IRS income tax returns for 2020 prior to the announcement that the first 10,300 of unemployment are non-taxable, when will we receive our refunds based on the exclusion of the $10,300 in UI benefits? This refund was automatically calculated by the IRS. So as reported in the news, I heard we will start receiving these funds next week. Is that correct? I have no idea. Our office is not involved in any tax law or tax issues. I really have no idea on that. And have you heard anything on that issue?
No, we've not heard any report that refunds will be coming out this week. It is true that the IRS has said they will do that calculation automatically and send the refund. You don't need any special application. As to when the money will arrive, that's nothing that we have any information on.
Okay. Next question is from a person says, what if my job says unemployment benefits would hurt them? Should I not bother to apply? Well, I think by hurting, they mean a tax increase on their unemployment claim. So the unemployment system is funded from, government source money, but through taxes on employers. So every worker who works, an employer has to pay quarterly taxes for all of their employers that go into the trust fund. And for certain types of claims that are successful, the tax rate for the employer will go up a certain amount. Like I've heard it's a few cents on the dollar, but you multiply that by many employees and many thousands of dollars, it would be an increase in that tax for the employers. I think that if any person qualifies for unemployment, they should apply and get it. But whether it impacts, if you're an unemployed person with no other options, it is a benefit. That's what the system is there for. If the employer is trying to bully you somehow into not applying or telling that, that's not right. Meaning they, as an employer, have an obligation to pay their taxes. And whenever you hire people, there's always a chance they will become unemployed at some point in the future. So that's a risk that they take when they run a business. It's part of the cost of doing business. So I would not let your concern over an employer prevent you from applying for benefits. And the employer may dispute the claim. Claims are disputed all the time regarding why and how a job ended. And an employer may oppose the claim, and even if benefits are granted, they may request the hearing. And of course, if you apply and you are denied, you can request a hearing as well. And would you have anything to add on that?
Just want to underline that it is part of the package if you run a business or any other enterprise that is employing people. Unemployment benefits are part of the deal. You need to make those available, because what you need is a workforce out there that is available when you need it. Part of that is sometimes they need to collect benefits because they'll be between jobs. So as part of the package, that's a kind of a blackmail issue that some employers seem to engage in, but you should not fall for that. You should consider that this is a right that you have as a worker.
Okay. Let's see. So here's a question. Since I don't have a lawyer and my job does, should I not ask for a hearing? Well, I can talk a little bit about the hearing process and also what Unemployment Law Project does. If a person's requesting a hearing, well, first of all employers don't have lawyers. In fact, very few at unemployment hearings, very few employers have lawyers represent them in hearings. Usually they represent themselves, or they have somebody from the Human Resources Office. Sometimes they hire Equifax or other companies that do unemployment claims. They're representatives. They're not lawyers. Sometimes they hire lawyers. The judges who run the hearings are aware that both parties may be appearing without a representative, whether it's an attorney or not. And judges who run these hearings generally do a good job at asking questions to both sides and knowing the law. So not having a lawyer or representative should not be, a concern in terms of not even requesting a hearing if was needed. Now, unemployment, there are many thousands of unemployment hearings every year. Even before the pandemic, there were over 20,000 hearings a year. And so Unemployment Law Project does provide, when we can, advice or representation for people with hearings. We don't charge fees. If we're successful, we can ask for a donation. But if you or anyone has a hearing coming and seeking help, you should contact our number through our website and set up an intake appointment when you get your hearing date, or when you have a hearing date coming up. And we will be able to go through the case and either assign it to a representative, or if we decline it for representation for some reason, we can set up advice with an attorney to answer any questions about that. There is a question here. Let's see here. This was kind of a follow-up to the question about the the PUA overpayment.
Mhm.
It says, since we are already waiting for his hearing, is it too late to call the claim center?
So we have been told by the Employment Security Department that they can, we understand that they can redetermine your application for benefits if you've been denied before a hearing. And that means up to the very date of the hearing, you can be redetermined. So it's technically, it's theoretically not too late to call the claim center. Now, there have been some problems in how this is actually carried out. We're not seeing a lot of consistency. There's some of the agents have said, well, you can't, unless you withdraw your appeal, we can't deal with your denial and we won't reconsider it. That is technically untrue. According to the leadership at the Employment Security Department, they say that there are training issues there. There's misunderstandings on part of a few agents. So I would not say it's too late to call a claim center. You can always withdraw from your hearing before the hearing. And since you don't have a date yet, there's going to be several weeks left.
Also, it takes a while to get a hearing, and also before you withdraw from a hearing, just make certain things are absolutely settled prior, or you can even go to the hearing and explain the situation to the judge if you want to kind of put that on the record too. We've talked to a few people in the last year who withdrew their hearing request prior to things being resolved and regretted it later on. So, you know, it's important to look to be very careful that things are absolutely settled and certain. Here's a question. The person says, I was awarded by my apartment organization where I work 1 day per week and get a partial rent credit, which I claim on my unemployment. Just this week, they've offered a rent relief supplement. This is a gift from the donors of this historic building. Must I claim this on my weekly UI? So the type of income that people must report are things like workers' comp, certain types of employer paid pensions, and earned income. So if this rent relief is a gift, if it's a true gift, and it sounds like it is, that would not be reportable as income. Work that you do that is compensated either with money payments or with rent or rent credit, that is considered earned income and should be reported while you're claiming unemployment. And anything to add on that?
No, that's a gift does not have to be reported. That's all.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, let's see here. I think we might be coming to the end. Let's see here. Okay. So that's it for the questions. And
answer that question since I don't
do you
have
have anything to add?
Oh, just that one question, since I don't have a lawyer and my job does, should I not ask for a hearing? Did we address that one?
Yes.
Okay,
they should ask that. Maybe my answer was too long to kind of be concise, which is yes, they should apply, you know, request a hearing and again, recommend contacting Unemployment Law Project for help. And of course, with everyone, you're more likely to get help and representation from us if you call us and have good contact information to follow through with the intake process, and to not wait until right before the hearing to call as soon as possible so we can get things set up. Let's see here. Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you.